Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, TJ, co-host of the Now Mind You podcast, back again with another new review of the latest chapter of Tokyo Revengers by Ken Wakui. Of course, there will be spoilers up ahead, so if you are not caught up, do what you need to do. Let's get into it. Tokyo Revengers chapter 264, titled Not Only the Force, but Also. Where did we leave off last time? We see the twisted origins of Mikey's dark tendencies, if you will, right, by flashing back to his past. Let's get into the summary. Strolling through memory lane, we're seeing the beginnings of Toman up to the arrival of Takemichi and Kisaki through Mikey's eyes. Let me get into the review. I've got mixed feelings about this chapter. I'll start with what I'm not happy about. This feels like a filler episode or a clip show, which we don't really ever see in a manga. Now let me get into what I did enjoy. For a hot second, before I realized they were suds, Mikey looked like almost exactly like his dad / Takemichi. What I also enjoyed is all the events leading up to basically right before the most recent time leap, right, from Mikey's perspective. Although even that's kind of stretched to a degree, right? He wasn't actually there for when, for instance, Draken R.I.P. met Emma R.I.P., right? I think that was just a bit of sweetness added by Wakui for us readers. I also enjoyed how we saw the aftermath. Well, I didn't enjoy it, but I appreciate us being shown the aftermath of the death of Shinichiro through Mikey's eyes, and also we saw how it affected his direct family. I don't like how he couldn't bring himself to cry with his relatives, but that's like the narrative, right? I think I mentioned this last review, and I know I keep reprimanding Grandpa Sano, but this old man has gone through a lot of loss as well, and someone needs to check on him. So I'm going to ease back on him for a little bit, because that's a lot of relatives to lose in a very short amount of time. It is cool to see how everyone got together, that is Toman-wise, but I find it interesting how they didn't rehash, from Mikey's perspective, Sanzu going off to be under Muto, or why, for that matter, Sanzu wasn't a founding member of Toman. I don't recall if that's been covered before in the series, but I'm kind of curious about it since, they retconned everything. Oh, speaking of which, did Draken know of Sanzu's existence back then? I mean, since Wakui retconned their original meeting, I can't help but wonder. I wonder if it'll reach up to Big Bro. Go to therapy, Mikey, so you can properly deal with that loss, kid. It was cool seeing Angry and Smiley getting recruited after that loss, which is something that they had mentioned before. Let me get into my predictions and questions. Takemichi's got to get back up after this flashback is over. We need to tie up the loose end of the second time leaper, though, and I feel like my last bullet point over here is going to kind of tie into this point that I just mentioned. However, Mikey, with all these flashbacks, does he have death flags on him? I'm still curious about the resemblance between Takemichi and his father. Okay, now, I actually want to see the next part of this flashback, specifically if it goes into Mikey's thoughts on Takemichi and Mikey's thoughts on Kisaki, particularly if it dives deeper into Kisaki being Mikey's darkness, right? We've talked about it before in previous reviews, but will the second time leaper show up in the next flashback again, right? All in all, it was a decent chapter. I will give it that. I can't wait to read everyone else's thoughts. Shout out to the subreddit. Shout out to the communities out there that are listening, giving feedback. I appreciate y'all. Got to give a shout out to my crew, Guts Guy, Riolu, Creepy Kitten, holding it down as always in the comments. I appreciate you all. Thank you everyone who watches this and gives it a listen. If you like what you're hearing, please hit up the main podcast. That's at Now Mind You Pod on all social media, or look up Now Mind You Podcast on any of your podcast distribution platforms. And if you like what I'm saying, hit me up on the gram, Tuss4Skate. That's TUSS _4_SKATE. Thank you so much. Peace.